Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Recruitment Uncensored with me, Kate. Just as a warning before we start today, I am riddled with hay fever at the moment, so I apologise in advance if I'm coughing throughout the live today. I will try my best not to. Haven't got COVID. It's my awful hay fever. Also, I've got a great guest on with me today, Simon Bliss, chairman of Team. He's having some internet connection issues, not major, but there's a little bit of a delay. So if you're wondering why there's a gap between him answering me, that's why. But he'll probably catch up with us at some point. But I have been super excited about today because I think the subject we're talking about is really important, especially with how the market is at the moment. Collaboration. Because historically, me and Simon were talking about this before we went live. I remember when I started in recruitment about 10 years ago, and you just did not collaborate. Like, even within the office, you kind of kept your work to yourself. You were very protective, and you absolutely did not collaborate with anyone outside of the business. So I think today's chat is going to be super informative for anyone watching, and is going to provide a lot of value with how to navigate some of the challenges. But the first question I wanted to give to you, Simon, because I think it's important we kind of define it because it's different to everybody. What does collaboration mean to you?
Well, firstly, Kate, thanks for inviting me. It's lovely to work with you, and we've done some great work together with some of our members over the last couple of years. So I'm really pleased that you invited me on this session. Good question as well. What does collaboration mean to me? It's about dealing with the issues that business owners, I think, have, which sometimes they can't share with a colleague because they're the lone wolf, they're the boss. But it's ideas, it's problems and challenges, but it's also opportunities. And one of the positive things about the organisation I'm now involved with, which I was a member of for 8 years, was that the previous owner built this sort of umbrella of trust where recruiters, rather strangely, could go into a room, be on WhatsApp, be on a Zoom, and share some of those ideas, those problems, and job opportunities with each other in a safe environment, and have the trust to do that without having ideas stolen, clients pinched, candidates sidelined. So it was a strange thing for me. As you know, I got into recruitment late. I bought a recruitment company in 2010, having never been in recruitment. And the first couple of years I bumbled around. I joined Team, and immediately people started giving me advice because I was pulling on the experience of years of experience from others who were solving quite a lot of the problems and issues that I was throwing at them, and that was a wonderfully safe space to be. So yeah, ideas, problems, challenges. It was interesting. I think there are 3 areas that we'll cover today. That is one of the big and unique things that Team's done, and not by me, but I'm celebrating and showcasing that now. But the previous owner for 30 years, 30th year next year, Team members have been job sharing for many, many years now under that umbrella of trust that was built by the previous owner. What we're doing is trying to rev that up a bit so that each day millions of pounds worth of jobs are available to share on our Team Exchange. And I've got some amazing examples of some of the people that have shared jobs and shared. I've got two wonderful ladies in COVID shared 500,000. They met at my conference at the bar, and COVID came along. No one was doing anything. Sarah, the wonderful Sarah Bishop from Recruit from Wolverhampton, won a client who was a doctor that was doing COVID testing at some film studios. You know, films have multi-million pound budgets. They've got to keep going. And so he was COVID testing every day, but he had no staff. So she partnered with Kerry Greenland, one of our members from the East Midlands. They'd met at the conference, as I mentioned. And over the next 18 months, they shared £500,000, both solo recruiters working together.
And that story alone shows how powerful collaboration is.
I said to the girls, "You just paid for your membership for the next 250 years." But that they continue to do great things, and Kerry does loads of work with other members. She's such a great networker and remover. But I've got a story I wanted to share, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's jump on. If you've got another question for me, I'm going into.
Well, I was just going to say, I think when talking about what collaboration means to you, I think what you touched on there is really important, that whatever the size of your recruitment business, obviously if you're a lone director and or you've only got a couple of staff, of course you're not going to have many people to speak to. But even if you're an agency owner and director of a larger business, it's still lonely at the top.
Yeah.
And to be able, like you said then, to have that umbrella of trust, people you can go to about things and collaborate with, that can help you solve some of your problems, or just somebody you can have like a bit of a rant to sometimes and offload.
Yeah.
Like that's collaboration, isn't it? It means lots. It's a lot of different things, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. One of our biggest members who you wouldn't think would collaborate with anyone, Meridian, they got 150 staff, they got 120 million turnover. The chief exec and his FD mentor some of my other members because they're happy to give time. You just think Derek's the CEO and Jeanette Barracliffe's the CFO. They give their time wonderfully, and the experience they've got is astonishing. Derek has turned Meridian into a real profit center. Rode it through COVID, bought the business, and made 75 of his staff shareholders. He's got some great experience to showcase to other people.
No, it's fab.
So really good. But I've got a couple of other examples. Can I share those with you of different things that people have done?
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say, I've got a question I'm going to ask you after the next one, which is the perfect question for you to give those stories.
Okay.
So I wanted to cover this one off first, and I think the stories will link in very well with this as well. I see a lot on LinkedIn about all the different challenges the market are facing at the moment. I'm sure you do as well. But obviously, we're both in positions where we speak to a lot of agencies, you in particular, all the time, different sizes, different industries. What are the major challenges you're seeing in the market currently?
Well, I think there's, accessing talent. Our client, there's still 1 million jobs live. Everyone's saying, the market's tightened. Well, it has. If you look at, I don't think you should compare it to 2022. 22 is mental.
And 21.
And 22 has just reached its peak, didn't it? In terms of number of jobs live. People stopped doing BD. That was part of the problem. Muscle memory stopped with business development, but there were so many jobs. It was all about delivery. Candidates were sticky. There were counter offers, are still a problem now. Ghosting candidates is a problem now. So that's really challenging. We do quite a bit of work with the guys at REC, and they're really open with us. They share their great stats with us. And Neil Carberry said to me the other day, he said, there's still, the stats are that we get, he said 33% of UK recruiters do not fill 33% of jobs with UK recruiters are being filled, which means 66% are not being filled. Now, wow. I'd be appalled at those numbers. When I was running my agency, we were up at about 66%, and I was disappointed with that. And I'm pleased to say the guys that have taken over from me have built a retained program, and it's nudged it up a little bit higher. And they work exclusively now on lots of roles, which has pushed it a bit. But if you're not filling jobs, you're putting your clients in danger. They will go elsewhere, and I think that's an issue. So I think you've got to fill those jobs, and that is an absolute necessity now, because clients will go elsewhere. And if you can share a job with somebody else who might have the perfect candidate for you, 50% of something's better than 100% of nothing. And he, you know, I won't. Anthony McCormack's a good example. He runs a business down in Bristol. You know him quite well. You've met him a couple of
Yeah.
times near you. Last year, he billed 100,000 with other team members, filling jobs that they couldn't fill. You know, he writes a good advert, so he was finding candidates that they on the same job boards and using different Boolean strings that other members were doing. You know, and he was actually showcasing with better copywriting and better Boolean strings, they could have done it themselves. But Anthony, you know, his core pipeline is working with other team members, collaboration. So he wears that badge.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So finding talent's obviously a challenge at the moment. What else are you seeing or hearing, especially from the members, about the challenges they're facing at the moment?
I think it's counter offers. Candidates are still tricky. You know, there's options, and I think clients don't understand the market enough. We recruiters have a wonderful opportunity to educate the clients on what's happening with the talent pool.
Yeah.
You know, okay, if you're in a warehouse and you're manufacturing something, you're doing stuff, you've got to be there. But lots and lots of people in office-based work are looking for remote or hybrid. And what does that mean? You know, hybrid is not come to the office 4 days a week and I'll let you go home on Friday. So it's people who want more flexible working. They've proven in the COVID years that they can do that. It's highly productive.
Yeah.
There is a wonderful osmosis of working in an office and learning from people depending on what age and experience you've got around you. So if you've got youngsters around you that you want to nurture and develop, get things done quickly, it's great to have them. But lots of people want that hybrid working. You know, quality of life is so important now, and clients aren't recognizing that. And I think, you know, it's an opportunity for recruiters to advise and give those talent insights that LinkedIn do really well, and lots of other stats and data. You should be able to provide, a good recruiter should be able to provide his or her client in their specialism or their location real insight into what's happening in their market, more than they will know, because you can say, well, you know, I see you've got a job for we used to be in the fascinating world of health and safety. If someone's got a health and safety advisor role and they're paying 45,000 for construction in London, you know, a quick search from me would be, well, with all due respect, Mr. Client, there's 150 of those jobs advertised in the London market at the moment, and they're paying £10,000 more than you. And those are with big brands, you know, whereas what you're offering is not recognizable in the market. This isn't going to work, you know.
Yeah. And
So,
I think a lot of consultants sometimes feel like, oh, I shouldn't say that. Can't say that to the clients. And I think this is what they're using you for, is this intel, this knowledge, like it's going to benefit them, isn't it? So that's what a consultant does.
Yeah. We had a new member that I was really impressed with the other day, and he talked about, I said, what's your USP? You know, what are you doing differently? Because we've got 32,000 trading recruitment companies in the UK. What are we doing differently? A lot of us are doing it the same, and rather sadly, some people are doing it in a rather mediocre fashion, you know. So he said, well, last year I filled 83% of my jobs were filled by sending one candidate in. I said, how did you do that? He said, I spend ages really qualifying the job, understanding the hiring manager, or understanding the DNA of the client, what they want. I tell them about how tough the market is, and I say I tell them at the qualification point, I'm going to send you one candidate I think's perfect. And he said it doesn't work all the time, but 83% of the time. Think of the time saving he and she, or they've got a little team there, they've had in searching the market, but also the client's time saving. They're going to interview one person, offer them the job 83% of the time. I thought it was fantastic. And
that's amazing.
I thought it was a really challenging thing in this market as well. So
Yeah.
setting a stall out like that, finding we are all good at some things. If you can narrow in on those, really, if you know the market really well, you've got a wonderful candidate pool, you understand what's happening in your region, if you're a generalist or your specialism, really hone that skill and present that to the client, and you stand out. So
Yeah.
that's that. I think that's absolutely necessary. But you can that. How can collaboration help? You can borrow ideas if you don't know stuff.
Yeah.
I
I was going to
saw.
say, let's talk about some of because
Yeah,
we've talked about the challenges.
yeah,
Um, Collaboration, we've already mentioned, is a way to navigate these challenges. And I know it's not just you saying, yeah, collaboration, that'll help.
yeah.
You know it will because you've got proof of it. So let's hear about some of these amazing
Yeah,
stories.
I had a wonderful guy who'd been with some of the biggest IT recruitment businesses in the world, was getting fed up with it, working for other people, and he went with a colleague. They started their business in April, joined us in May at Team. So he'd been trading a month, been out of his previous business, yeah, literally a month, and so he was in under restrictive covenant, and he joined on a Monday. We did the new member forum on the Monday lunchtime. I introduced him to a couple of people, and he got really excited about job sharing because he couldn't go to any of his old clients for the
Mm,
next 5 months. He was going to be
it's a long
religious.
time.
He was going to be religious about, I'm not going to touch any of the clients. These guys have been good to me. I'm going myself now. He saw a job on the Tuesday. He thought, I think I could fill that. On the Wednesday, submitted a candidate. Thursday, the candidate got an interview. Friday, got an offer. On the Monday, the candidate started. And Quibina Manning it was, from Third Nexus in Portsmouth,
So that's
Southampton.
literally a week turnaround.
Yeah, he billed 3,750, and he paid me £60 as a startup to join Team for the month. So
Yeah.
over the next 4 months, him and his colleague Lee, they invoiced 25,000 to other members, and it really sort of got them off the ground and got them
Yeah,
going.
because when you're a new business, that's really
Yeah,
important, isn't it? Though, you want to get off the ground as soon as you can. So to do that within a week, what a weight off your shoulders as well.
I got we. Did you come to you were at our conference, weren't you? In
Yeah,
June.
yeah.
We had a couple of wonderful guys that joined us in June, and they met at our new member forum on the round table that we do every Monday, and they sort of got connected, but they hadn't met, and they came to conference and had a couple of beers, and since then, in 2 months, they filled 7 jobs together. It was yeah, James Rayner at Credit Union Recruitment, and Steve Wallace from Shorestep. If you're watching, you deserve a bit of.
I've met Steve over
Yeah,
Zoom, but yeah,
yeah.
no, I think I'm pretty
They,
sure I did
they,
before the
they,
conference. Yeah.
they they've worked out how to work together. James has had the jobs and Steve has found the candidates, but they've worked away because Steve doesn't completely understand the credit union thing totally. Steve does long listing and qualification, and James does like final shortlisting. But they've shared 20,000 plus
And I think
in
that's an important point in that story is yes, they've collaborated as in they've worked together on it, but they're collaborating in regards to their strengths.
yeah.
So they're utilizing each other's strengths and filling the gaps where needed, which I think is a big part of collaboration, isn't it? Which is, yeah,
Yeah.
let's work together, but let's utilize our strengths and fill in the gaps.
It's been perfect for that. Another example I give you is I've got a couple of members that met really successful individual recruiters with staff and businesses. Charlotte Sykes from CWR, Ruth Forster, and they met and started to talk about the challenge of nurturing and developing and helping people through their career path, not just helping them with their next job. And they bounced some ideas around because they both did a lot on the candidate side, with really giving some advice and direction to sort of senior candidates on where they go with their business. In the end, they said they formed a new business. They've got their existing recruitment businesses still running, they formed a new business for coaching, specifically coaching candidates on how to nurture and develop them through their careers. And they did outplacement stuff as well. But it was a creative that they were so passionately driven by it and like-minded that there was such a synergy there. They've started a new business which is now national. They're coaching other recruitment businesses how to support and develop their own candidates through that program, and they get paid by some of those candidates, and they get paid by their clients with a lot of outplacement stuff. If people are letting people go, they're giving the companies are paying Charlotte and Ruth to give advice about where to take those individuals forward, because they're good employers, and they didn't want to let people go. But
I think there's some important already lessons here for look, even if you're a consultant watching this, right, and you're not a business owner,
yeah,
the stories you're telling, you can collaborate with your colleagues internally. These things are transferable, whether you're a manager, team leader, director, consultant. These are powerful stories that show the benefit of collaboration. It can help you get through challenges just by partnering with other people and using their insights and their experience. You can relate it at all levels, can't you?
Yeah, I'm going to give you one more example, which I thought was slightly different. In COVID, bad stuff was happening. I don't want to keep going on about that, but Francis Kelly ran a generalist business in Kingston, Surrey, and it's a good business, but a generalist. It's tough, low margins, bit of temp, little bit of perm, and he was networking with people. We all got on Zoom, didn't we, in Teams over that time.
Yeah.
Really started using that was our only way of communicating, with thanks to WhatsApp as well. And he would communicate with Miles Lloyd, one of our coaches in the north of England, and they were talking about Francis had. If any of you've seen the film Coda, it's about a wonderful family where the daughter has all speech and no problem, but her brother and her two parents are deaf, and she's running a business. They're all running a family fishing business in America, with all the challenges of having a brother and two parents that are totally deaf. Well, Francis's mum and dad were deaf, and came to England, got a job. Francis' dad got a job with the All England club at Wimbledon, and for the rest of his life was retained there. He didn't have a CV. They embraced that. Disability, and said, "What can you do?" And he was a brilliant gardener. Well, what do you need at the All England club? So he had a brilliant career there. Got friends with lots of repeating amazing tennis players who remembered him each year. And he's passed away a couple of years ago. And Francis wanted to leave a bit of a legacy, specifically in the world of sport, for people with disability or people that had came from diverse backgrounds. So out of this Zoom, where the two guys never met, they formed a company called Level Equals, which supports minority groups in the sporting world. And now they're working with Brentford Football Club. They're working with the RFU at Twickenham, England cricket, obviously the All England club at Wimbledon as well. And Francis is placing some amazing people from diverse backgrounds into executive and leadership roles within the sporting world. And the business is taking off. It's a fantastic success of two minds of people bouncing stuff off each other that were from recruitment backgrounds, but one coach and one business owner who does the stuff. And it's a real success. And,
no, I love it, and I love how the industry has gone through that change, and it is happening more, because ultimately it's going to benefit, if these new businesses are starting, for example, it's only a benefit to our economy as well. So I love it. I want to get a top tip from you, Simon. Okay. But before I do, I just want to let everybody know that's watching of the next episode. because I have another amazing guest on. I do actually feel really lucky to get to speak to these people fortnightly, because I know you guys are learning from it, but I'm also taking a lot from these conversations as well. So the next episodes will be on the 20th of September. So always a Wednesday. It's going to be exactly the same time. Go live at 12:30. I have got Rebecca Shannon on with me, the leadership coach. I love Rebecca. We have so many insightful chats outside of kind of a work capacity. And she's coming on to talk about how you can have more of a clear mind and get more focus, which in recruitment, I'm sure we all feel like we could do with more of a clear head, and it's only going to pay being more focused. So she's going to come on and we're going to talk all about that subject. So I will start, I'll put the event out next week. I'll start inviting everybody, but keep an eye out for it and definitely come along and attend that one. But yeah, let's go back to your top tip, Simon. So share
Well,
jobs.
it is
No
shared job.
surprise here, but massively valuable. Talk to me about this one.
Well, it's, you can do it in team. You could do it if you're not a member of a team, but you need to try and find someone who's like-minded, that you've got some trust with. If you're within team, it's written in our code of conduct and practice, so you're protected by that. If it's not in team, then find someone locally or in your sector that you can communicate with honestly, and beat some of those REC terrible stats. 33% fill rates. Do some more. Tim Lane, who's a member of ours, he does a lot of international work. Park Lane. He filled his biggest, made his biggest fee ever, and that was a shared fee. He filled a £45,000. He invoiced a £45,000 invoice, which is his biggest ever by miles. He said, by filling a job in New York for an IT director. That he couldn't find the candidate. He had the client, and he connected with someone who could support that, and they shared that fee.
And that's going to bring more business.
It's a game changer. Yeah, we had there's one of our members filled a job. He did some work with Louise Archer, who's fantastic on retrained search, and he moved his business from multi generalist to an exclusive retained business. He got this job in New York, which the client had kept calling him saying, "Look, can I add you to this? I can't fill this job." And Nigel kept saying, "No, I only want to work retained." And the client, 6 months this went on for. Nigel said, "You're going to work with me now on retained. You haven't filled this job." And they did. He filled the job. He sent one candidate. He said the client wasn't convinced. He said, "I sent you one candidate as a benchmark. If you're interested, we sign a contract for retained. You get rid of all the other agencies." And he sent the one candidate. The client said, "That's the best one I've seen in 6 months." He said, "Well, he's not available. He's not available, but I can find you people like that." Nigel filled the job, and he got 5 other jobs given to him by that one client once he'd proven his mark. So, and he found that he used the team network to help him support those roles. So just share. It can,
and like you said, you can do that outside of team, but you touched on something important there: the trust.
Yeah,
it's got to be some people you trust, isn't it?
And it's got to be like-minded. We got lots of people within team who you won't be able to work with. You're different. You've got to build your community. We try and give you the environment and the umbrella of trust to do that. You'll find there's some great people. You can build. Most of our job sharers have a team of 4 to 10, which they'll share with. It was a really interesting job on this morning. I saw in Japan that one of our people are hoping to share with now. And you don't get those very often. But the job came up, and boom, there was one of the girls said, I think I can fill that. So that was really
powerful.
Well,
to anyone watching, obviously we're coming to the end now, but if you've got any questions or you want to know more about team, Simon is on the event tagged. Just add him on LinkedIn, get in touch, or pop a question in the comments on this event, because we'll both see it. And you can have a more detailed chat with Simon about that. But thank you so much for coming on. It's been really powerful, I think. And I think for a lot of people watching, will get them thinking about actually how this can really benefit me, my business, my team, my consultants, all across the business. So thank you very much for coming on with me today. Um, we're at the end. So thank you, everybody, for watching. And I will see you in a couple of weeks for the next episode. Bye, everybody.